Problem-solving methodologies. As an IT professional, you'll be called to resolve issues, provide services, and make upgrades to the devices and systems in an organization's network. In a business environment, there are a lot of factors that could affect the state of the business and render that network or its critical functions helpless to perform its basic operations. We have to understand that any changes that we make will affect the business environment positively or negatively. To that end, we need to ensure that any service that we bring to the organization is a positive one. Now, to alleviate these kind of business disruptions, organizations have adopted a process that plans for the changes with safeguards built in to prevent the disruption of the business operations and be less impactful as possible. This process could be called the change control process. Some organizations may have another name for it, but its sole purpose is to allow for requested changes to be reviewed by the required stakeholders and to identify any potential problems that could arise during this implementation before it's implemented. Now, this process could involve a change control board if the organization is large enough. Participants of this board would include a representative or a key person from each department or key stakeholders of the organization, like the IT department. Now, the process steps for this process includes the initiation, the assessment, the analysis, implementation, and the closure. Now, this process, you need to be aware, we are aware of as an IT professional. We need to be aware of us how we have never had this opportunity to work with an organization before, and we want to make sure that our actions does not disrupt their business at any point. Now, the steps and labels may vary from organization to organization. However, the process that we would follow would be the same path. Now, troubleshooting is a critical skill for IT professionals. There's no getting around it. A lot of our time is spent trying to figure out why something should work, but it doesn't. A great deal of our ability is to diagnose and solve computer and network related issues really comes from our experience. However, there is a framework that guides us toward finding the answers that we need. The CompTIA troubleshooting methodology can be linked to like a scientific method in some ways. It's a six-step process that frames the problem and guides IT pros to identify and execute a solution. And again, we do have a lot of experience when it comes to troubleshooting systems and devices and network related issues. However, by following this guideline and following these proven steps, we can ensure to follow a proven plan with documented results. And following this process allows us not to shoot from the hip or miss a step. As a technician out in the field, once I started following steps along these lines, we found it easier to implement changes and to go back and document steps that we made and also steps our findings at the end. So it will serve you best to follow a problem solving methodology as this. So let's look at these steps in detail and go over them and how you would implement them in your network environment or in the customers that you serve. So number one is identifying the problem. This is after the issue has been reported. You're going to start gathering information, get as many details as possible. See if you can duplicate the issue to validate that it is happening. And also, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, as far as duplicating the issue, that you want to follow whatever corporate policy or procedures there may be, not causing disruptions on the network, finding the time to duplicate this and troubleshoot. So also identify the symptoms. There could be multiple related symptoms. You want to evaluate the risk with whatever changes that you want to make or plan to make. Evaluate those. See if it's against the corporate policy or what effect it will have on the business. Question the users. Determine if anything changed. Also, approach multiple problems individually. Sometimes you have a lot of different symptoms. Approach each one individually and to validate, that it is a true valid symptom. And they may be related, but they may be separate, and it could be multiple issues going on. Establish a theory. Start with the obvious. Start with the easy items first, the most obvious items. And also, you want to consider everything. Again, we do have a lot of experience under our belt, but at the same time, let's follow this process because we want to consider everything. Sometimes our experience say it may not be this thing, but let's just validate that just to make sure. Make a list of possible causes, however you want to do that. Write it down or make a mental note. starting with the easy items. Research symptoms. Sometimes, if you're seeing things that you're not have not seen before, get outside help. Vendors, knowledge bases, and forums. Vendors of that particular product or software are a great help. Test the theory. Now you want to confirm your theory. You want to determine your next steps to resolve this problem. If the theory did not work, okay, reestablish a new theory based on those symptoms and everything that you're seeing. Or if you need to escalate it, this again, seek outside assistance from a vendor, even coworkers or other people in your field that's related in this field who may have experienced this before. Now, if the theory did work, now what? Now you make a plan to resolve. Now we are establishing a plan. We build a plan. We're working to resolve the issue with the least impact. Sometimes you have to do that in the off hours or after hours. Off hours may be times that the organization may not be operating at a full day, or after hours, after their normal business close hours, or even before. You always want to consider those. Again, as a technician on the field, there was a lot of times we had to do implementations before the business started and after the started stopped working for the day. And there's a lot of weekend projects that I have been a part of implementing new systems and devices and software. Identify potential errors. Now, I may reiterate this one over and over and over, but have a backup plan. Have a backup plan to that backup plan, and have a backup plan to those previous backup plans. If I can't reiterate that or stress that more and enough, have a backup plan. Make sure that you have a backup for whatever changes that you're going to make. Make a backup of those software or whatever that is before you make those changes, so you can revert back to it. Also, look at our alternative solutions. If this does not work out, I can back up to this, or I can do this. Again, have a backup plan. Okay, implement the plan. It's time to implement the plan. It's time to resolve that issue. You have the clearance. Now, escalate if necessary. Sometimes in implementing this plan, you need other resources. So it's time to call in the cavalry. That could be a vendor. That could be additional hands. There are again a lot of projects I've worked on where we had a vendor meet, where we call the vendor in, and the vendor helped implement that plan or that change or that process. Next, you want to verify functionality. The problem is not resolved until it's tested and verified. Make that part of the plan. And also, the customer needs to confirm it's resolved, because this is who we're doing it for. We're doing it for the customer. So they need to confirm, or you need to show or prove that it is resolved to their satisfaction. So also, while you're doing this, this is the most key thing here is, as a professional, how do we prevent this from happening again? What steps can be implemented to prevent this from happening again? That is one of the biggest benefits that we can offer as far as our services as a IT professional. What process or controls that we can put in place to stop this from happening again? Or it could be a training, simple as a training. So, as an expert, make informed recommendations. Document the findings. This is another item that people know me as far as work with me is document, document, document. Make sure you don't lose that valuable information that you just went through. This whole plan was a valuable opportunity to learn and implement solutions. So document this, document the steps taken, the resource that was used, what was the outcome, the processes and the controls. Sometimes you have a formal knowledge base in your organization, or a database, or a CRM, or you put this information in your ticketing system. Document, document, document. It will help you in the long run, because in the future you may run across this problem again, and it'll save you time. Okay, so in this lesson we went over um, the customer or the company policies and procedures, the change process implementation. Also, we looked at the CompTIA methodology troubleshooting steps. Identifying the problem, establish a theory, a probable cause, test the theory, establish a plan of action, verify system functionality, and document the findings. Thank you very much for being with me in this lesson. I will see you in the next lesson.